As tension builds between America and Iran, we are the closest to nuclear Armageddon since the Cold War. In the last century, nuclear technology has provided us with both weapons of mass destruction and a near limitless source of clean energy. However, public anxiety has blurred the lines between the two uses of nuclear power. Today, we will review the historical and environmental implications of nuclear technologies. What would happen to West Orange if New York City fell victim to a nuclear attack? Would we survive? Mr. Ficocello has explained how nuclear technology can produce energy or weaponry.
Basically, there's two types of nuclear reactions. There's fission reactions, and then there are fusion reactions. And with context to energy production, we deal with fission reactions, which is splitting the atom. So you take a large atom like plutonium, uranium, you split it with a particle beam. That releases energy, and we harness that energy. We use it to heat water, generate electricity. The other type is a fusion reaction. That's mostly experimental. They've been working on it for years, and so far we do not have a fusion reactor yet. But right now, most nuclear reactors are fission reactors. And it's the same technology that goes into bombs, with the exception of the hydrogen bomb, which is a fusion bomb.
Would you say that nuclear energy is good for the environment, and will it slow climate change in any way or have any effect towards climate change?
Yeah, it's good for the environment. It was long considered a transitional energy technology to get us off of fossil fuels and transition us into more renewable types of fuels like solar and wind. But there is a problem because we have to mine for uranium, and there's a limited amount of uranium, so it's only going to transition us for so long. But because of its low emissions and relatively low risk of explosions and meltdowns, it is definitely considered a safe for the environment energy resource.
Could you explain a meltdown?
Sure, that's when the core reactor in a nuclear power plant overheats. If it loses its coolant for whatever reason, like in the case of Chernobyl, if the heat exceeds a certain, temperature, you will melt through the containment system, and all of that hot radioactive material will just actually melt through the bottom of the casement.
Okay, so how would the effects of a nuclear, a meltdown and then a nuclear reaction differ from each other?
A nuclear bomb.
A nuclear bomb, yes.
Well, the big thing is when a nuclear bomb goes off, presumably, and God forbid this ever happens, they're going to be coming from somewhere, and it's going to hit a target, usually a major population center or something like that. Whereas most nuclear power plants are not necessarily near population centers. For example, the ones in New Jersey are down in Salem, New Jersey, which is pretty far away from a population center. It's still going to be bad, okay? You're going to have exposure. There's going to be leaking. If it's, again, like a Chernobyl situation. But if it's a nuclear bomb, then you're talking about taking out New York City. It's going to be amazingly devastating. So a little bit different.
How has nuclear energy impacted the world we live in today? How did we get to where we are now, with almost 14,000 nuclear warheads and 450 nuclear power plants? To find out, we consulted Mr. Miskimen, a history teacher at West Orange High School. How did we get to the number of nuclear weapons that we currently have today?
Well, it all dates back, obviously, to the Cold War and the arms race and the competition between the United States and the Soviet Union. One of the ways that they competed with each other was to stockpile as many weapons as they could so that they could outdo each other. So the United States and Russia today are the two countries that have the largest amount of nuclear warheads. So it stems directly from that competition. And with nuclear proliferation, now we have obviously multiple other nations that have successfully developed and tested weapons. So it's not just the fact that you have two countries with a lot, it's now many countries that have them.
What is mutually assured destruction?
So mutually assured destruction, or MAD, is it's an acronym that again dates back to the Cold War. One of the strategies that both the United States and the Soviet Union used was to, as I said before, was to kind of stockpile as many weapons, but also to kind of continue to improve upon the technology to make them more destructive. And the notion of mutually assured destruction, what it literally means is that if one of the opposing nations were to launch a nuclear strike at their opponent wouldn't be able to stop the attack, but one thing that they would have the time to do is to launch their own, which would mean that anybody who launched a nuclear attack would not just be killing their opponent, but would also be killing themselves, so that the destruction is mutually assured, it's mutually guaranteed. And that usually when they talk about mutually assured destruction in the study of the Cold War, it's the notion of how oftentimes nuclear weapons were viewed as a deterrent, that because they were there, it kept the United States and the Soviet Union from actually going to war with each other. Another way you could also look at mutually assured destruction, which is where the acronym really fits, is that because they just kept creating more and more of these weapons and they were more destructive, the amount of fear that people had, especially in the 1950s and 60s in the early Cold War, was heightened. People were very afraid of the potential of a nuclear holocaust, so it got out of control.
Do you think that we should be afraid of a nuclear Armageddon?
Obviously, the existence of the weapons makes it that there is a threat. There's always a possibility, but I mean, you don't want to live your life in fear, because then you can't enjoy life. I think we just have to make sure that as human society, right, as members of the world, that we are aware, and that we hopefully work towards moving away from proliferation, and convincing nations that there isn't a need for these types of weapons.
Now we know conclusively that we would perish in a nuclear attack. Mutually assured destruction does not provide much hope for humanity either. However, nuclear energy could provide the perfect transitional energy source while we work to cut out fossil fuel extraction and save the environment. There are two sides to nuclear power, but we must remember, with great power comes great responsibility.